Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another HM1 in 2021. Been a minute since the last video. I've still been trying to rebound since the advancement exam, but I am ready to get back into it. So I'm skipping chapter 6 for now. I'm going to come back to that one later because, as most of you guys know, for the HM1 exam, chapter 6 is good background knowledge, but most of our stuff is in like the bibs, and that's a really long chapter to do. So I'll probably break it down by like body system a little bit later. But today we're going to go over Chapter 7, Oral Anatomy and Physiology. This one is like super basic. I don't think there's a lot of stuff on this one for the HM1 exam either. But there's still some good stuff that kind of ties into like the dental surgery stuff later on in the Corpsman manual. So it's good because information kind of goes hand in hand. So I got my thing pulled up, so I'll just highlight stuff as I go. So tooth formation phase, odontogenesis, name kind of self-explanatory. Three developmental periods: growth phase, calcification, and eruption, which we'll talk about that one in a minute. So growth period begins 5th, 6th week of prenatal life. The growth period is bud, cap, and bell. Bud stage is when the dental lamina is formed, patches of the epithelial cells. Usually 10 buds are present in each dental area, about the 17th week of fetal life. Permanent teeth are going to replace these ones. Cap phase, proliferation, so reproduction or multiplication, which the cells grow and the tooth starts to take that hollowed cap-like shape, and that's where the enamel starts to kick into. And then the last stage of growth is the histodifferentiation phase, which basically means that the tissue or the cell groups are getting like special jobs. I like to think of that as kind of like the fetal cells, where they're all getting their super special secret jobs. So that's all the 3 growth phases. Morphodifferentiation, this one's all the big words. Enamel forming cells are called ameloblasts. Dentin forming cells are called odontoblasts. Let's see, that's kind of the blueprint of the tooth. This one has a lot of cool charts that really helps show what the stuff looks like. So that just shows how the tooth gets made. Some more words: apposition, depositing of the matrix for the hard dental structure. Calcification, organic tissue becomes hardened by the deposit of calcium. Eruption, that's when the tooth starts to erupt. Here's a chart that has like the average time periods for each of those phases. I don't think that's important to really memorize. Exfoliation, when your primary/baby teeth fall out. Yeah, that's kind of all the paragraph says right there. Structure of the tooth. This is where the stuff's really important, and I love that this chapter has pictures to help guide through them, because if I was just reading this, I wouldn't remember any of this stuff. So apex is that bottom part, root right there. Clinical crown is just the part that you can see. As you can see, it kind of stops here at that cervical line. Anatomic crown goes all the way, so where the root of that crown is. So crown is divided by the anatomic and clinical crown, which we talked about that. The root, that is the root. Teeth can have multiple roots. That's called the furcation. So 2 root bifurcated, 3 root trifurcated. However, if it's 4 or more, it's not called quadrucated. It's called multi-rooted. So it's just bi, tri, or furcated, root has 1. And then when there's more than 1 root, bifurcated, trifurcated, then multi-rooted. There's a small opening at the bottom of each root. That's called the apical foramen. Makes sense, right? Because if you think your teeth's got pulp inside of them, which is tissue stuff, it's got to get blood like every other tissue. So it's kind of like the little hole where that comes up. Cervix is where the cementum joins the enamel. As you guys can tell with my pronunciation, I have never worked in dental a day in my life. Tissues of the teeth, enamels on the outside, then dentin, pulp in the middle. Cementum is what cements it to the jaw, alveolar bone, all that fun stuff. And I don't think I really need to describe it. Enamel is the stuff on top. Dentin is the light yellow that's less dense and enamel, porous, and dentin is the largest portion of the tooth. Cementum is that light yellow cement that cements the tooth in. So think about that one. Pulp is the tissue inside. I'm talking more about like the pulp issues in the next chapter, I believe. The tissue that surrounds support the teeth are collectively called the periodontium. So that's the tissues around the tooth. Let's see. Cementum is the only tissue that is both a part of the tooth and a component of the periodontum. It's that thin layer that's between. So again, it cements the tooth. Alveolar process is basically the fancy way of saying your jawbone. I don't think it really has a picture of all that stuff because I don't really understand these ones too well. Actually, figure 7-8. Where is that at 7? Oh, duh. So alveolar process. There's the bone. Cortical plate. I don't see that on here. Well, either way, it's compact bone. Alveolar crest. Highest point of the alveolar ridge. Let's see. Trabecular bone. Alright, I'm kind of glossing over because I don't really understand this stuff anyways. But if it was something super important in an exam, I probably would have studied that a lot harder. But you know what? That's a cheater way of looking at it. Let's go through this stuff a little bit harder. Cortical plate, composed of the facial and lingual plates of the compact bone. It's dense, the mandible cortical plate. Oh, I'm reading that as like the top and bottom parts of it. See, periodontal ligament, thin fibrous ligament that connects the tooth to the bony socket. Teeth don't contact the bone directly. It's in a socket where all the fibers and stuff are at. So oral cavity, it's got the oral mucosa, masticore mucosa, lining mucosa, specialized mucosa. Masticore mucosa is comprised of the tissue that covers the hard palate. So if you think about hard palate, soft palate, hard palate is the top. So like if you get your tongue and touch the top of your mouth, you see how it feels hard? Hard palate. Touch the bottom like under your tongue, soft palate. And it just kind of describes what all that looks like. So again, hard palate, roof of the mouth. Gingiva. That one for me is kind of easy. Like the lines between your teeth. When someone has like gingivitis, their teeth are like pulled up, kind of like a receding hairline, but for your gums. There's both unattached and attached gingiva. Gingival margin. I think I've seen that before. The 1 millimeter narrow band of gingiva that forms the immediately collar around the base of the tooth. And that's what first shows gingivitis. And again, there's another chart to look at all that fun stuff. Let's see, dentition periods. So humans have 20 baby teeth, primary teeth. Then permanent teeth, which is called permanent dentition, consists of 32 teeth, which are called the adult teeth. Teeth of the upper arch are called your maxillary teeth, because if you think about it, your top jaw is called your maxillae. The bottom is mandible. So like the mandible is the part that moves, is how I remember that. See, maxillary, mandible. There's 4 quadrants, left, right, and they're just known by maxillary and mandibular. So maxillary, left, right, mandibular, left, right. Location of the teeth. See, I don't think it talked about the universal numbering system yet. It's a little bit later. So molars are in the back. Your bicuspids, your cuspid, your incisors. And here's just another way of... Yeah, I haven't seen the numbering system. Did I gloss over that? Yeah, maybe it's coming up. The number system is how you number all your teeth. There we go. It's the next page. So types of teeth. These ones are kind of explanatory. So incisors incise your food because they have like that kind of cleaving edge. Cuspid are used for cutting and tearing. Bicuspids can both cut, tear, and also chew. Molars are the main chewers. Because there's so many teeth, the HM needs to identify the tooth as completely as possible. So instead of incisor, it'd be central incisor, second molar. So then exactly where they're at. But there's also a numbering system. So the universal numbering system is how the American Dental Association and the Armed Services numbers your teeth 1 to 32. It starts at the right maxillary third molar. So that's top right, and then goes from right to left. So I tried to count while touching them with my tongue, but do that for yourself. Like, it's pretty easy to go up, and then you go straight down, and then back across. So right to left, down, left to right. Surfaces of the teeth. Facial is the one that faces your face. Mesial is the one in the middle. Distal, outside. The difference between facial and outside is distal is like the ones that point left and right, and facial points forward. So away from the midline. So see the midline's in the middle. Distal is out, facial is forward. Lingual is toward the tongue. Contact points where the teeth touch. Interproximal space is between the teeth. Let's see. Embrasure is like a little piece of tissue between your teeth. Vertical and horizontal overlap, it's a thing. Occlusion. So there's a lot of different ways that you can pattern your teeth. Yeah, it's super important. Occlusal plane. So curve Esprit and curve Wilson are ones that maybe I saw in the junior exam a long time ago. I don't remember much about the names. Honestly, I think when I took those exams a long time ago, I didn't even know they were talking about dental. So if you think curve Esprit is going over your teeth. So I'll see that one. It's like if occlusional. So if you put like a piece of paper on your teeth, that's your curve Esprit. How's it kind of jutting up? Then Curva Wilson is going the other way. So Curva Wilson left to right, Curva Esprit back to front. Trying to think of a way to remember that. Wilson has an L, so left to right, Wilson. There's a way to classify the abnormal ways of meeting teeth. So class 1, normal. Class 2, retruded profile, so you see the jaws sticking forward. And then class 3, the jaw juts out. So class 1, about equal. Class 2, going backwards. Class 3, going forward. Again, looking at the different parts of the tooth. And it kind of breaks down like what the different sides of the tooth do, which it's all kind of the same. I think it's more important to remember what goes where. I think this goes on for a few chapters, or for a few pages. There we go. Glossary of unique dental anatomy. Again, more key terms to look at. So cusp, chewing surfaces of bicuspid and molar. Cingulum, lingual aspect of an anterior tooth. I think anterior is front, posterior is back. So it's the back of your front teeth, pretty much. Let's see. Fissure is a linear fault that sometimes occurs in a developmental groove by incomplete rejoining of the lobes. Central fossa is that depression on the top of teeth. Fossa is a rounded or angular depression. So it looks like a fossa is any depression in your teeth. The central fossa is the one in the middle. Lingual fossa is that shallow depression on the inside of your front teeth. Then again, all the different fossas. And grooves. A lot of this stuff kind of just, it sounds like what it is. Yeah, and boom, that's it. So for this one, I think the most important ones are the Curva Esprit, Curva Wilson. Just know like the basic what sides of the tooth are what, because that's going to help with the next chapter when we look at like the oral surgery stuff. But yeah, I would say number system, the 2 types of curves, where your teeth are at, what are they called, cuspid, tricuspid, and all of that. It's not a lot to try to remember, and a lot of like the dental anatomy is kind of self-explanatory. But sweet, that's it for chapter 7. Thank you to, I think I've had a few more subscribers. I think I'm almost at 100, so thank you for those that hit the subscribe button. And yeah, have a good one.